This is the Morning Drive. It's Mira Business FM with me, Tim Elliott, and we are welcoming Dr Talal Shaikh in a moment. He is an associate professor at the School of Mathematical and Computer Sciences at Heriot-Watt University here in Dubai. And the reason for him being here is this story that we want to cover, and more, in a few moments. Dubai accelerating its push to become a global AI and technology powerhouse. Now, the Crown Prince, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, recently hosted Elon Musk in Dubai, personally driving him around the city on Sunday while discussing strategic opportunities in space, mobility, and perhaps most importantly, cutting-edge technology and artificial intelligence that could redefine how business, government, and society operate here and around the world. So Dr. Talal Shaikh is with me to discuss this and more. Good to meet you. Good to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me here.
You're very welcome. You're an expert on things that I absolutely don't understand, so bear with me if I ask the daft questions. Expert on computational science and AI ecosystems. And I want to start here, Dr. Talal, with you. The recent meeting in Dubai with the Crown Prince and Elon Musk. So AI, emerging tech, smart cities, fostering tech partnerships were kind of the centerpieces of the discussion, we're led to believe. Just your perspective to begin with, what does this kind of high-profile engagement signal about Dubai's strategic vision for AI and innovation on the global stage?
So, from my perspective, the meeting signals that Dubai is no longer positioning itself as just a fast follower in AI ecosystem, right? It's a place where global technology and all that, things like AI, good infrastructure, all these things, right? So good global technology agendas are shaped. So when the leadership, I mean, he also met His Highness President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan.
That's right.
And as well as now he is also His Excellency Deputy Prime Minister Sheikh Hamdan as well, and they were moving around. So when leadership at this level engages directly with someone like Elon Musk, it shows the confidence that not only Dubai but UAE itself has the ability to host, regulate, and even, let's say, scale frontier technologies together, right? So it's about co-creating the future of AI, not just importing it. I mean, that was the initial stuff. I've been born and brought up here, so initially it was just like, okay, what's new, flashy, bring it here, and you'll always see it here, right? But now it's more about the whole discussion. Okay, what can we do more, right? This is a model, a platform, a test bed, where you have the regulatory stuff, you have the technology, and you have the talent that's already coming in with this better regulations. Right?
You see, that's interesting because it feels as though this is a much more kind of leadership position. It's fostering a a partnership, but taking a lead. I mean, Musk had discussions, as you said, with the president, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. So that kind of further cements the prospect of more tech collaboration, more tech leadership, I guess. The other thing is it's his second visit this year to the UAE. He unveiled the Dubai Loop project at the World Government Summit back in February. Now, that's an interesting thing, apparently expected by the second quarter of next year. 11 stations. It seems fairly, that seems kind of optimistic to me, but I mean, stranger things have happened. They say that it's much easier to build these tunnels. They're built in such a way that its construction is a bit faster than you would expect. But what did you think when he came here to unveil Dubai Loop?
I mean, it's his second visit here, I mean, in this year itself.
Yeah.
So I think he likes this place, and he probably sees this place as a test bed to where he knows that the government policies and regulations fit faster innovation cycles.
Yeah.
So he can try and bring in that aspect over here. And eventually what happens is that Dubai is known for its execution, right? So they want to be first. Not only that, but they are really, really fast at their execution cycles, I think, compared to other cities in the world. And because of this, like you said, the timeline looks very optimistic. But if they get it right, and if they have already planned this stuff, like especially for the Dubai loop, I think things can happen at that time scale. So
Well,
that's very much possible.
it seems to be. It's 17 kilometres, 11 stations, 160 kilometres an hour potentially speeds. It's kind of Tesla's in tunnels, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
that kind of wait for you and then drop you at specific, points.
Yeah.
So 20,000 passengers an hour. I'm just reading here on a direct, non-stop route, all powered by electric vehicles. So that's the idea, and it aligns with the goals of the clean energy strategy, which is the 2050 strategy, but also the 2040 Dubai Urban Master Plan. So sustainability, seamless connectivity, all that kind of stuff. It's a really interesting idea, but I think you point out there, Elon Musk looks at somewhere like Dubai, somewhere like this region. There is liquidity here. There is some money, which I guess, means you can take technology forward. There are potential partnerships, certainly financially, but there's also that point that he views this place as a can-do place. You can get things done, which I think is interesting.
And
Let's
it's
see.
also the place itself, and especially the region itself, is more a greenfield area to try out, like a test bed,
Yeah.
try out new technologies, right? I mean, whereas like if you think about US, Europe, it'll be more like a brownfield environment where the infrastructure already exists, and you might need to add on with this new technology that they want to try. But here, it's growing. The city is growing itself, so they could put this new technologies in a newly grown part of the city or newly developed part of the city, where they can test out different things. So that makes it a bit more easier, I would
But
say.
you can see it in public transport here anyway, can't you? You can see the way public transport kind of interconnects with itself, in that you have the metro, which could lead you to a bus station, which could lead you to a ferry terminal, to a water bus, to a taxi stand. That just the way it works, you can see the interconnectedness.
Yes.
I think it's interesting. I want to ask you a little bit more. Dive into AI a little bit more and look at what Dubai's been doing. Building its kind of tech ecosystem, positioning itself as a hub for AI investment, for AI research, for talent. Generally, first of all, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper, what are the key sectors that you see being most transformed by AI in the next 3 to 5 years? An eternity in AI years. It's kind of a dog years thing, isn't it? But what do you see being transformed?
There are several key sectors that likely stand out. I think the most important one being healthcare. So there have been already interesting AI-driven diagnostics that have actually come out, especially in the imaging environment, like X-rays or radiology or anything in that department. And obviously things like personalized treatment pathways, that's actually being the keystone now. Like everyone sort of can get personalized treatment. I mean, that's where the focus would be in the next few years. And recently there was this thing about the gene therapy investment. Like they're actually looking at specific gene therapy interventions for people who actually require that. So all that work is actually going on in this space, and I think that's quite exciting time actually to live in.
Well, it is, isn't it? Because I mean, we're all wearing, fitness bands, or
I wear one.
you've got what is that, a Whoop? Or,
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Or we're wearing smartwatches. We're all kind of monitoring it.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. But aggregating that data is a bit of a privacy minefield. But as that starts to, it will work itself out in one way or another. The point at the moment is that we're all more aware, aren't we, of well-being and health, and
Yes.
it's not just, oh, I feel bad, I'll go to the doctor. It's an ongoing process of keeping up with yourself.
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of thing.
So that's that's what it is. Like, see, so before, like, especially when you're in academia, you work on these things, and it's all done in the lab environment, right? So
Mm.
so sort of you're just testing out different things, whether it'll work, whether it might not work, and you have a general idea as academics that where it would actually go and impact.
Mm.
But then you see the real impact when actually the technology is being used on a day-to-day basis by different people, and they can use it in various different ways, and you just have to be prepared for it, like,
Mm.
to actually manage, handle, and even actually look at the consequences that of what they have built. So that's quite a interesting thing. Um, Not only that, like, so healthcare is one aspect, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Other sector which has a lot of data on which you can actually train AI models is the financial sector.
Right.
So that um, they're already doing that for risk monitoring or risk modeling, I would say. Also for fraud detection as well.
Yes.
And one more thing I could, like you have personalized treatment, you would also have personalized banking experience. So it's going to be, I mean, for a normal citizen, everything is going to be, let's say, focused on hyper personalization, and
Mm.
that's where I think it's actually going to go. It might get scary, like you just pointed the point about privacy things and all that, but there are certain rules and boundaries in terms of what data is to be used, how ethics is handled, and stuff like that. Um, so even that part of the framework is also being sort of rapidly developed and matched so that uh, these data is not used in any unwanted ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, there are certainly some issues down the road that are going to need to be dealt with in terms of data privacy, and a lot more
Yeah.
than that, of
And I
course.
think one more area I think which actually adds up to this the sector would be the energy field. I mean,
Right.
we are in that region anyway, right?
That's where
So
we are, exactly.
yeah. So but you can even think about it's not only the oil that most of this infrastructure was initially built on, but now we're looking at solar energy and sustainable energies.
Mm.
So and AI technologies or AI models actually pretty good at now helping in grid optimization and um, things like predictive maintenance of your different assets at different places. So whether, let's say, your solar panels need uh, cleaning because there was a dust storm earlier in the day,
Sure.
so they can be more efficient, so and so forth. So uh, and as you see, like all this forms the part of the national AI strategy, which UAE has, like 2031. And actually, in this meeting, even the Ministry of AI was actually also present
Mm.
around in
Mm.
that discussion. So you can understand like how important it is. Just AI is not considered just like a software, but it's of something that's of national importance. So
I mean, it's
they're
considered
actually
to be
doing
a
that.
way forward, isn't it?
Exactly.
Let's face it. So, we have the Ministry of Artificial Intelligence. Do you know what the amazing thing is? 2 years ago, AI was just, it
Yeah.
was a passing comment that you would make. Oh, it's going to be coming at some point.
Yeah.
A year ago, it became it was discussed almost at every dinner party, at every meeting, corporate meeting you went to. Now, a year after that, it is just part of our lives. It's
Yeah.
if you do a Google search, any kind of search, any browser search, it immediately comes up with an AI summary scenario,
Yeah.
and it's perfectly normal now to be, to expect that, to use that. It's just accepted, as is Chat GPT.
Yeah. I mean, so I was walking with my kids yesterday,
Mm.
and it was quite, the weather is really nice. So he's just walking around, and I was just passing by a cafe, and people were sitting on their laptops and all that. I was just observing,
Mm.
and out of the 5 laptops I've seen, and I'm mostly sure that four of them were using ChatGPT. for their work. So, so I was like, okay, that looks like a ChatGPT interface. So it is being a part of our life, So it's like whether people say they use AI tools for their work or not, I believe most of them do. It's just that either they're not seeing it. That's it.
Well,
Yeah,
it's true, and there are lots of questions around that. I might get to some of those
yeah,
later if we've got time. Actually,
sure.
let's get back. You mentioned universities as test beds
Yeah.
and innovation centres briefly a moment ago. But for businesses, and I guess in particular for universities here in the Emirates, we're kind of at a point in time that presents opportunities and challenges. And
Yeah.
my question to you is, how can academic institutions like yours, Heriot-Watt, and the private sector better collaborate to develop AI talent, but local AI talent and innovation leadership? What could you see that should be happening there?
So if you look at Heriot-Watt itself, our AI-based programs, like both at the bachelor's and the master's levels,
Yeah.
they are actually built around the real market needs itself. So it's just not only the foundational theory, but it's also the practical implications of things on which people actually build the projects. So it's uh, not only us, but I think even the other institutions, the universities around here, they also do have academia and industry partnerships where they actually build projects. So maybe these students might be working, like let's say the industry has a certain aspect they want to test it out, and they're not really sure whether they have all the required data, the infrastructure, and the talent to develop that models in-house. And that way they meet with us and we develop, let's say, a capstone project around that, and you know try to get something worked out that benefits, that can be rigorously assessed academically, but also it impacts the workplace where they're actually developing that project. So it's not just like making a project just for the sake of being a project.
Mm.
You're looking at more like a mission driven innovation approach that we are actually expecting. So that's one way. Another way is like, now we're talking about improving the skills of the talent that already exist,
Yeah.
right? Another thing that is actually happening is like, let's say at what is we have like a doctoral center for AI and robotics.
Okay.
And that's where actually the next cutting edge innovation and research can happen between academia and, let's say, the government and the industry. So they can come in and say, okay, this is some of the areas that needs focus. Can we work on this and try bringing up new innovations within that particular space? So it actually helps everybody in the process.
Mm. Um, we mentioned Elon Musk being here and having some high level discussions, and I guess that highlights the importance of public-private collaboration. What models or frameworks should or could Dubai adopt to ensure partnerships deliver real economic value, real social benefit?
Yeah. So um, I think the very first thing that people should focus on. I mean, though, like if you see the essence of Dubai itself is based on successful business models itself, right? So uh, when you're looking at this public-private partnerships, we're looking at more around outcome-based funding. So you pay for or you fund projects that has clear um, priorities. That needs like that works at the national level. Like it could be for smart cities, it could be for sustainability, right? So you fund projects that is just not for the sake of innovation, but that is also for the benefit of the particular sector that they're actually working on. So which can be eventually used. So it's we hear a lot of talk about oh, we are doing innovation in this, innovation in that, but is that innovation really impacting a normal person, for example,
Yeah.
in their day-to-day life? Will that make sense overall or not? So I think that's where actually it is actually interesting to see that Dubai already has that uh, approach, and you can see many free zones have come up, especially the AI campus at the DIFC, where that's interesting because they have a regulatory sandbox
Yes.
under which you can
Yes.
actually prepare and develop your product,
Mm.
and and there are different levels. So it says, okay, uh, they make sure that, okay, if this is a high risk thing, then we can only work with this kind of data with this kind of customers, right? Or if it is general, so if it is something that doesn't affect the privacy that much, so it can be sort of little bit more mass deployed and tested with people and stuff like that. So you have the different levels itself uh, to work with, and since it is regulated, it's easier for innovation to happen. Uh, Not only um, like at the grassroots level, but also at scale. So
Mm.
it gives you that flexibility. So Dubai is pretty good at that.
Interesting. You said high. If it's a high risk thing, there. What do you
Yeah.
mean when you say if it's a high risk thing?
Um, it goes back to the talk we talked about ethics and privacy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm training my models based on someone's data,
Yeah.
right? And it could be your private data itself, right? And the more I have, um, more private data, I could get, of course, more personal and things like that. But you can also fall into issues like where is that data used somewhere else. I mean, you have, let's say, we do, like we are all also bounded by, let's say, the GDPR rules, right?
Hmm.
So, um, and in that, there is a particular policy that says that you are only intended to use this data only for a particular purpose,
Right.
right? So, if it's used for something else that was not intended to, and it leaks out something else, you have to be quite uh, aware of that such things can happen, right? So when you have the regulatory insights on that, they make sure that all your data, your sources of data, your inputs of data are compatible with all those existing laws, and as well as you're doing it things in a technically right way. Um, so all this brings us that the goal is not innovation just for its innovation's sake,
Mm.
right? But innovation that delivers some sort of a measurable impact or value to the society.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what.
I mean, one of the things about AI is rapid adoption,
Yeah,
and the speed is like nothing we've ever seen. I find it impossible to keep up.
yeah,
But the issue with that, when you see such a rapid acceleration, is or will be, and I mean, is currently questions around ethics, around governance, around societal impact as well,
yeah,
as we need to get accustomed to these things. But there's also accountability. I mean, who is responsible when AI makes a harmful error, whether that's perhaps a false diagnosis
yeah,
or you mentioned AI in financial institutions, in banking, if it's, you're denied a loan,
yeah,
perhaps unfairly.
yeah.
Who is accountable in situations like that?
So um, I I th- I think it's accountability should be a shared responsibility across everyone who was actually involved in that project. So what I've seen is, especially the framework here in this part of the world, they they're looking at responsibility. Like you say, like if you come from a security field, they don't say that security should be by obscurity, right? Okay, they say the best approach is have security by design, like
Yeah,
embed when you build up system itself, think about security as by design itself.
yeah,
So what I see here, I mean, to answer your question is, we should work on something towards responsibility by design itself,
Okay.
right? So if you do that, then you have the ethics and accountability that is built into AI systems directly from the beginning. So it's not like, okay, after things happened, whom am I going to raise my fingers to, right? Okay, oh, it's because of you, you did this, you did not think about this, or so and so. So it's everybody. So once you have that process of responsibility by design, it sort of narrows down to everyone, every stakeholder within that process of building the AI system is responsible about certain things. And there will be checks and balances that actually happens there. And actually that helps a lot. So this brings me to this concept of AI literacy. So AI literacy should be not to the person who's just developing it, but also all the way up to the leadership in that particular project. So that's like the whole.
So there's always some form of human oversight, if
Absolutely.
you like. They're meaningful involvement, particularly when the decisions are quite of a high stakes kind of nature.
Yep.
What about transparency? One of the things is understanding AI, explaining how AI makes decisions and
Yep.
offers, a resolution for something. Even if you just type something in. At the moment, I was doing some research this morning, and I was looking at a real estate development against another real estate development. I thought, right, I'll put it into the browser,
Yeah.
and it was X versus X, and
Yeah.
it came back with a really neat little summary
Yeah.
with a couple of things that I hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
So I can incorporate that into my line of questioning for my guest who's
Yeah.
going to be after you
Yeah.
here. So hopefully it gives us a more rounded interview. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But how did it get to that? How can I explain AI? I can't. I see it as this kind of all-knowing, all-seeing, all
Yeah.
entity, and I find it hard to explain it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
Kinda.
kind of. So, I mean, the way I see it, I mean, to make it as simplistic as possible, is AI is just a big model. So it takes something in and it sort of spits something out, right?
Yeah.
Now, with the kind of innovation that has taken place, especially with this large language models, which most of us are using, like Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude,
Yeah.
they are specifically trained on large sets of data, right? And the data that was already there, like from Reddit posts, emails, whatever, right? So they have stripped up all the, let's say, personally identifying information, and you could think of it like stats, right? Like if you just ask a question, my name is, right? So definitely after the word my name, the next word that it should predict is,
Sure.
right? So it's all maths at the end of the day. It's like, okay, so, but now you add up lots of data, lots of structured information, and now it starts getting more interesting, because all that you're seeing is something that has digested a lot of information, and it's giving you the information that you expect to see either from one person's perspective or multiple persons' perspective. So it has got good at structuring that. And of course, there are other people who are making sure that the outputs that it is actually giving you is something that you would expect, right? In a structured way. So there are also different guardrails as well. So it might have learned something, but it's not in. It could be dangerous for somebody who is asking certain questions, and you don't want that information to be out. So there are also some guardrails that are there on, especially LLMs, like so that it doesn't put out information that you don't want, or something it could be harmful. Like for example, it says, you know what, I diagnosed you have this XYZ kind of problem, so it must be this,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And the AI, and for a normal person, they will consider it as a fact. But in reality, It might just be that that's the only thing it knows, right?
Yeah, so it's offering possibilities rather than
Exactly.
conclusions.
Exactly.
Right,
And that's
right.
what you need to keep in mind when you're always interacting with these stuff.
So it's really as though we're educating these kind of AI models, aren't
Yeah.
we, by
Yeah.
training them on data sets from wherever that data comes from.
Yeah.
But there's an element, isn't there, that we need to be trained to understand that
Yes.
our use of AI and our understanding of AI
Absolutely.
needs to be pointed in a very specific direction. Not everything is the sort of gospel truth.
No, no, not at all. And
Yeah.
and if you see in almost all the big models, they actually mention like, please check the facts.
Yeah.
So even they themselves are not sure whether it actually. I mean, there was a more of a problem of hallucination. We call this as hallucinations in LLM models.
I love that. I love
Yeah. Um, there were more issues initially, but then it's a bit less now.
Yeah.
See, you could hallucinate in code. You could introduce a bug that was not there. But I was talking to one of my students, and he was saying like it figured out a bug that I would have never thought of. Like I just gave it my code to review, and it reviewed, and I was like, he was like, I was so surprised. And it's the same person 1 year ago. He's like, AI was crap. It's not doing. It's all it's all fluff.
Yeah,
He's very
yeah.
good. One of the top AI students, and whom I have taught as well. So to see that perspective changing is also game changing. Like you can see that people are becoming better at selecting certain AI models for certain tasks. Like ChatGPT, they use it for something else. Um, Claude for programming these kind of stuff. So there are different models that people have started using because they have figured out like that's the best use case I would use these models for. Like I use this model for creatives, I use this model for financial analysis, I'll use this model for so and so. So it's not like one model does everything perfectly, but some models do something really better than the other ones.
We're almost in George Orwell territory there. Some models are better than others. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm sitting listening to you, and I'm fascinated actually. The example of your student there being surprised by AI working out the bug. Is there anything? I think there's still a mistrust around AI with lots of people that it's it's Skynet, it's Big Brother, all the usual sci-fi stuff. Is there anything that bothers you? Do you have any worries? I mean, you consider AI more than most people.
Yeah.
It's every day for you, and you're teaching students. Is there anything that, not that you mistrust, but is there anything that bothers you slightly?
It's around the democratization of AI itself, I would say.
Potential misuse by people.
So it's see, at the end of the day, I'm not afraid of the technology itself, right?
No.
It's just a tool,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, like I always say to my students, I use a knife to cut fruits, right? But you could also use a knife for something else. Same thing with fire. I could use fire for cooking food, but I can also destroy something with it, right?
Yeah.
So AI is just like that. So it depends on who at the end, who's on the other end of the spectrum, who's actually using this for what purpose, right? So you can use it for good things, and you can use it for not so good things. So as long as that framework is there, actually that's sort of important to understand, like where the boundaries are. But also, I feel like there's like a collection of a few companies who are actually working with this large AI models that is taking out some smaller companies out of the way. Like for example, I myself had a company in this field which used to make stories for children, and with nice visuals and graphics and stuff like that. And at that time, this was way back in 2022, before ChatGPT was out.
Right.
Okay, and and then within a year of that, ChatGPT got the flexibility of generating images and generating stories. So we were like,
Do you know what's wild? As you say,
Yeah.
back in 2022, before ChatGPT,
Yeah.
that's 3 years ago.
Exactly.
It's wild. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Like because when you look at smaller startups, right? So they have limited funding, limited focus. So they need to be really, really precise on who the demographics are, how they're actually going to solve a very important problem, you know, because if it's a very small problem, but maybe your scale is not that large enough to make it financially viable. So the bigger guys will take over that pie and do it themselves.
mm,
Okay, but that also means that most of the innovations is also happening there, right? So all is not lost because you also have open source models that are given to people for free so that they can download and create their own variations of stuff. So that's the beauty I like about it. So it's just not that okay. It is the technology is cornered by around 2, 3, or let's say 4, 5 big companies.
mm.
No, it's also democratized. So everyone can, with a certain bit of uh, know-how, they can actually also build their own AI systems. So you have this big giant AI systems, AI models, but then you also have very specifically pruned AI models that can work on anyone's laptop, or let's say even on phones.
Yeah.
So, and that could be more efficient, less energy consuming, so and so forth. So in terms of whether I'm fearful about something, it's just that uh, who is using that data at the end of the day, right? And to make what kind of decisions. But at the end of the day, like especially with any of these models, if you are a paid subscriber, it's in their policy that they don't use your data for anything else, like even for training,
Yeah.
right? Uh, but that's not the case if you are a free user of those things.
No.
So if you're just using these things for free, then it is in their policy that they are using this data for training purposes
I think
and
there are a
stuff
lot of
like that.
people that don't realise that. So, but then that's a data issue on the internet.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
far deeper, runs far deeper.
Yeah.
Do you think we're doing enough? I mean, where are we in terms of? I wanted to talk about governance and about
Yeah.
trust with you today, but in
Yeah.
terms of regulating
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, are we complying with existing and future regulations? I'm thinking about the EU AI Act, for example, which is the first one that comes to mind. But is enough being done?
I mean, the EU AI Act is actually quite, uh, it's quite a landmark policy around this in this space
Mm.
because it actually governs how the data is actually used and under which classifications it's actually used. So
Yeah.
whether they have clearly mentioned what is high risk and what is low risk uh, data and how you are supposed to use that in your AI model. So that actually gives a very good policy-driven value there. Um, but at the same time, uh, to answer your question, whether enough has been done, that's just one part of the world, right? So
Well, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so not everyone has caught up to that
Mm.
yet, and so
But the catching up is part of the problem
exactly,
because this is a field that's moving at a pace that
it's very, very fast.
it's really fast.
Yeah.
And I guess for regulators,
Yeah.
first of all, understanding
Yes.
what AI means and where it's going and how intrinsically linked it will be in all of our lives.
Yeah.
It's hard to get your head around that. But to regulate an industry that's moving at this speed is, well, let's say it's a headache.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, like I said, every stakeholder needs to be also educated on not be just like media influence, but also know technically how these things actually work.
Yeah.
Then only you can come up with a good, uh, because you don't want a regulation to stifle innovation,
Yep.
right? So you need something that balances both, because otherwise, if you have something too tight, then some other country might just, go faster
Mm. Mm.
at that innovative pace, and they might start getting that advantage. So it's this balancing act that every major AI, every major country that is interested in having an AI infrastructure on them,
Yeah.
they want to make sure that, okay, we also have something that's unique that other person does not have, so they are also investing in building up models and AI models for different things. So
It
that's
was,
that's what is
it's
happening.
such an interesting question because it's like the new space race, isn't it? But
Yeah.
there is potentially such an impact
Yes.
on society, on, I don't want to be too over dramatic, but there's a real impact on humankind here, potentially.
Yes.
So we're not going to get a resolution in the next 10 minutes, that's for sure. I
Yeah.
already kept you over time.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm going to get shouted at because
Yeah.
we were supposed to have half an hour, but it looks like we're going to go for the full hour. Are you okay to stay around for a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
longer?
that's fine.
I appreciate that. Lots of things I wanted to ask you, Professor, today, because where do I go next? Let me ask you this, because this is something I guess that you have talked about at length with your students. And the way we're using AI as individuals, but in particular the way students are using AI, and that question of, am I using AI to genuinely learn, or am I relying on it to the detriment of skill development, i.e., it's a shortcut, it's a
Yeah.
cheat code?
Yeah. So that's a very interesting question, and I think a lot now, like we know that AI, like let's say up until last year, I have put my own assignments that I test with the students and
Mm.
see what kind of results is it on par with what I'm actually expecting,
Right.
and usually it was below average. The results were like below average, whatever it would output. But now it's different. Maybe it learned from our existing students or something like that, and now it can give like something between B and C B and C grades, kind of an output.
With just simple
Yeah,
prompts
with just
as
simple
well.
prompts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we have academia is also not far behind, right? So we have now adopted, under which, let's say we have a coursework or something like that, we actually say how much of Gen AI is allowed in that
Mm.
versus whether it's allowed or not allowed. So basically, you might have, let's say in the early years, we want to really know whether you learn the fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
And obviously now, if you open up any AI model, you can just ask the fundamental question; it'll just pop it up.
Yeah.
But you need to know whether you know what you know, right? It's not just asking and just getting the answers there. So if you see at the lower levels, we really want people to know what they're actually understanding,
Mm.
not just ask a chat model and get the answers on that. So that level, so we have like level 0 Gen AI versus like let's level 7. So you're given, you can use Gen AI as you want, but because we believe like when a person is out in the wild, let's say in the industry, and they are going to use the tools, right? So you need to make the best use of tools coupled with the foundational knowledge you already have
Mm.
to make you a better person. So I mean, I personally believe this is one of the things that I've been also talking about to other people as well, is that the future is not just you. Let's say you're going and getting a job or doing a consulting role. It's not you, it's you and your AI model. Because you have personally trained your model that you're using. That AI model knows more things, maybe something that you might have actually forgot,
Mm.
right? And you could just do a simple exercise, like based on what you know about me, write a profile bio about me, myself,
Yeah.
and and you will be quite surprised about what all things you have asked, what all things it has remembered about you, and it'll make a very nice, sketchy profile.
Well,
You
it
know?
would. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done this. I did a podcast this year, and I just put my friend's profile in and
Yeah.
created a podcast with two people
Yeah.
talking about his profile, which I just found staggering.
Yes.
It works so well. The thing is, though, it's about being transparent, I think, with the way you use AI. If you're a student in your class, I mean, you're an AI professor, so I can ask you this directly. Student in your class uses AI. My reading of this is if you cite AI correctly and you're transparent over your use of AI and the thesis that you put forward to you, for example, uses that as the basis for its argument or backs up the research, that's fine, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, as long as you did not use AI as a shortcut or your last minute thing, right? So most of the people actually they get stuck up with, oh, you know what? The deadline is tomorrow. Let me just put a prompt in and
I'd say that's
get
probably a
it.
lot of students.
Yeah, and that's where they get caught off.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But as a university, we have come up with like regulations saying that okay, like there are policies like that says okay, in this coursework you are allowed to use AI versus zero allowance versus full allowance of using AI.
So that's a standard part of the...
Yeah, now we have changed it,
Right,
right?
okay.
And we have also changed our assessments based on this. So now before, a lot of weight was, like now since we know writing has become a bit more easier, so now we want to know whether the student really knows, right? So instead of just that, now we have added an additional component of, let's say, video-based exposition of their stuff, or they can do Viva. So, so we really go in and say, okay, do you really understand what you're actually talking about? And have you done some stuff, right? Have you done some stuff that explains what you're going to do, like for your research or something like that? So we know that you might use AI somewhere, but did you do something on your own? Like that's the kind of thing that we are actually looking at. So that's how we are actually saying, okay, we're working with AI. You know, we are not like saying do not use, because in academia you have like one group of people, no, they should not use AI, and then we have a group of people. I'm on the other side saying no, we should use because that's what we are going to use anyway outside. So there should be a balance in between, and I believe. Some universities have taken the right step of saying like, okay, you know what, it is how the world is changing, but we still need to make sure that people have the fundamental skills. So maybe those fundamental skills, the way you are assessing with courseworks, cannot be done anymore. Put an exam for it, right? Let them come on a table, sit on a table, answer that, right? Or if you want to be really more sure, like interview that student, or make them make a video or show some other delivery method.
I mean, it's necessitated a change of approach in academia, hasn't it? It's the old argument of 30, 40 years ago, you couldn't take a calculator into a maths exam.
Yeah.
And now that would be standard practice.
Yes.
But we are still teaching people their times tables, and people can still add and subtract and everything else.
Exactly.
It's a slightly more technical argument, AI, but it's a very similar.
Yes, similar approach. Similar approach.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's a very good analogy that you brought up.
I'm quite proud of that one. Just a couple more questions. We've got 5 minutes or so to talk, but it's fascinating talking to you because there are so many facets to AI, and it's going to hit us whether we like it or not. We're dealing with questions over job displacement, for example. That's going to happen more and more. So there's a real need, I think, to consider how we support people affected by AI automation as well. And that's something I think that we're going to see happening more and more, something we're going to have to deal with.
Yes. So what's going to happen mostly is like there will be a shift in the job market, right?
There will.
So So it's like what you were doing before, obviously because you have got like an extra superpower now to do your things a bit faster,
Sure.
right? Um, people, so people who don't know how to use these tools, right? I mean, like, okay, forget about ChatGPT or anything like that. Like how people used to search on Google itself, there was a difference between a person who knows, was a master at Google search versus a person who did not know,
Sure.
right? And the person who knew exactly what to search, what keywords to put and stuff like that was always up ahead of the other person who did not know. So a person so knowledge about how to use these tools is also very important, right? So otherwise you'll be left behind.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's like a very common thing in this job shift place. But also what's actually happening is um, some of the creative stuff which we thought like AI couldn't do before, for example, now can be done quite easily, right? Like you have more, like it could be like artist, right? You're an artist, you have a particular vision of some what needs to be put on a canvas, but then you put a prompt on one of these image generation tools or diffusion models, and you get an artistic interpretation of what that prompt was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, now I can do this. Do I need an artist, for example, right? So my take on that is we will definitely need both, but probably lesser and lesser artists would be uh, interested to work in that space if they are not going to get that financial gain, right? So somebody who is really still passionate about artist and creative work, and they will still work on it,
Yeah.
right? And there will always be a market for that kind of approach as well. You know, it's just that there will be a shift in perspective, and there will be a shift in like you could have these artists itself who would use AI and make something more crazy, like more interesting. Like, um, I met my brother-in-law. He's into music, so I was on vacation 2 weeks back, and I was like trying to help him. I got into this space of AI generated music, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Like I was able to make like electronic trance songs
Right.
all the way to classical stuff.
Yeah.
And it was, and that's not it. I was not in just English. I was able to make songs in, let's say, Swahili, in Hindi, in different languages. And I was like, wow, this gives me a big power. And I was looking at the some of the comments that people are saying. It's like one guy was saying like, it's been like 40 years. I always wanted to build a song, and nothing, and because of job and this and that, I was not able to pursue that passion, and now I can do it. Like
Yeah.
and then you have the other side of people like, oh, but this is going to take our jobs away and stuff like that.
What,
You know?
it's those two ways of looking at it, isn't
Yeah.
It's either going to steal everything we already have, or it unlocks so much more potential.
Exactly. So I was thinking about the guy who was not able to express himself,
Yeah.
and now he is at the production seat, right? So he doesn't need singers, he doesn't need musicians, but he just needs a vision of what that final song needs to come out as,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And as long as your vision is very clear, and you will reach that direction. So like I said, the job is shifting from that, and it's going more onto, so you could be creative at the singing or at the music generation level, or you could be creative at the whole thing, right? Like looking at the complete picture. I'm just not looking at the text, but I'm looking at the whole book, and that gives me the control.
Where is it going? Where is it going? We're going to have to stop because otherwise we're going to be sitting here until the new year, I think. But it's been fascinating to talk to you. We started with the visit of Elon Musk being received by the Crown Prince and driven around Dubai, meeting the President, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed. As well, and we ended up with making music on AI. We got through a few things. Dr. Talal Shaikh is an associate professor at the School of Mathematical and Computer Sciences at Heriot-Watt University in Dubai. You're going to have to come back and talk some more.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us.
Welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for bringing me on.
It's the Morning Drive. This is Mira Business FM. A like, a subscribe is always appreciated. Wherever you join us from, or wherever you get your podcasts from, you can listen and watch again. Just search Mira Business FM.